Yeah, so everyone is all fired up from lunch, I'm sure. I know I am. I've eaten. It's great. Yeah, so hi, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about some of non-scholarly use cases and, a little bit of fun and games you can have with IIIF. That's me. That is the building in which I work. I'm from the Harvard Art Museums. It's a physically small building located on Harvard's campus with a relatively large collection of around 250,000 art objects. Which poses an interesting problem where we have to think creatively about how we actually make this collection available to people when you consider that less than 1% can actually be on view in our gallery space at any one time. Lovely views, lovely views. Okay, so I'm going to focus on some, I guess, pretty narrow aspects of how we're using the APIs, the IIIF APIs, and a lot of this stuff is really dead simple. There's a lot of URLs at the end with source code and live demos if you wish to explore while you're here, if the pictures aren't entertaining enough. Okay, but let me frame this just a little bit more. I'm a practical, rational, logical, but above all, a lazy person. And IIIF has proven to be a great new set of tools in the arsenal we have at the art museums. And in fact, IIIF has been fantastic because it allows me to continue to be lazy. So thanks to IIIF for that. Okay, useful stuff. Art on digital signs. What a really engaging topic. We have this lovely cluster of digital signs in our courtyard that tell you all kinds of useful information about the museum. And they're interesting for a little bit, for a few reasons, because there are multiple screens that operate independently, each with their own little computer behind them. So if you ask the screens to show you some sort of artwork from our collection and you want it to get it to span across those screens, you run into some problems, which you might notice. This thing is round, but if you follow the edge of it, it doesn't really look nice and circular as it ought to. So this is just a mock-up of the screens with the gaps that you can see between them. And thanks to the IIIF image API, we can do some very clever things like say, hey, monitor 1, just give me the left portion of an image, and hey, monitor 2, give me the center portion, and hey, monitor 3, give me the third portion. But because of the way that APIs allow you to ask for specific regions, we can trim out the areas where the bezel occurs and the gaps between the screens, thus giving us a corrected image. And it's fun when you sort of get in the nuts and bolts of it because you can write some really dumb, simple applications that work on each screen and know just enough about the images to tell the computer that runs the screen, just enough information on how to request the image and paint the right picture in the right region on the right screen. So it actually does away with a lot of complex digital signage software that you might need on the back end to do this kind of image correction. And then you can take that same notion and you can scale it up a bit more. We have a space called the Lightbox, which is a 9-screen video wall all pushed together. And it's the flip of the problem. It's one computer running 9 screens, but you're still faced with the issue of having these bezels between all the screens. And if you don't crop your images correctly, you're going to get some weird effects happening. So here's one of our artworks spanned across the 9 screens. And there you look closely, you'll see the edges will get all disjointed because of the way the computer is trying to push one image across the screens but knows nothing about the gaps between the screens and can't correct for it. So along comes IIIF and we can do some clever math and just request 9 portions of one master image and plunk them into different screens, thus eliminating and cutting out areas to give us a much smoother visual effect when you're looking at the image across all the screens. And again, you can see the same kind of large silver plate there and the nice smooth edges you can achieve. I'm not going to get into the details of how you actually make the recalls to do those 9 images. If you want to play around with any of the code used to display these kinds of images and split them automatically, there's a demo up and running, and so this very clever demo lets you do something like, there's the left screen, and with changing the URL, if you are patient, there's the middle screen, and it's all very simple. little math saying, hey, screen, you just need to know about this portion of an image, and off you go, and you're happy. Okay, let's see, back. Okay, so let's move on to slightly more interesting stuff. Ever since working with IIIF, I've always been scratching my head, sort of, what are manifests? What do I do with them? What are they good for? What are manifests good for? Can anyone tell me? You read the spec and it tells you, manifests are used to describe objects, which is great. So here's one of our objects from our collections website and another object. And when you have an object for manifest for an object with multiple images, you can throw it in Mirador and you can see these great things like, hey, there's Van Gogh without a frame and Van Gogh with a frame, and ooh, that tells us a whole bunch of different things, which I don't know because I'm not a scholar in this stuff, hence the non-scholarly uses. And you can see the front and the back. Oh, great, there's a clock. You never get to see the back because it's on someone's mantle. Awesome. And there's some terracottas that you can see in multiple views if you have the imagery for it. But again, what do these manifests really have to represent? So it got me thinking, well, could we use manifests to actually model our galleries? Our galleries are an object, right? They just happen to contain other objects. So let's just play around with that notion. So this is a view of Mirador Viewer where every item loaded into it represents a gallery in our museum, and the images you see are the images that are in the gallery. So it gives you this new interface to just navigate and browse the museum and play around. And because Mirador is the thing that it is, unless you do comparative images, we can do some very clever things like just continue to add slots to the viewer and say, oh, I want to compare these things across 3 different galleries. Some ancient stuff, some Asian Mediterranean division stuff, some modern and contemporary stuff. And it could be a really dead simple tool for asking people to just play around. What do you see that's common throughout the galleries? Well, here's an interface that takes almost no effort to pipe all of this material into that people can play with on their devices almost immediately. And the fun thing is if you take it to a room like our Lightbox gallery that has this 9-screen wall, you can run that same Mirador viewer with the same list of manifests of the galleries, and you can see almost a comprehensive view of our museum in one shot. Again, we have a small museum, so we can get away with doing this. It works really, really well. And then you could have that same really close-looking experience across galleries, finding commonalities, looking at them very closely on screen, going back out in the gallery to see things. And you can keep going and going and going and going. Here's 9 different faces. This was me playing around in our Lightbox gallery. Hey, how many different faces can I find in the collections throughout the museum, things that are currently on view in different galleries? And here they are. And now I can go out in the galleries and find them. So it's actually a really great little gateway for, prototyping games or something like that you can have classes come in and play with. And again, if you want to go out to the URL that's in this presentation, you can go play with this stuff in real time and have a blast with it. And if things load, you will see faces. Yeah, there you go. Keep adding slots, keep finding faces, bookmark it, send it to people, whatever you want to do. And then moving on from there, let's see, did I forget to tell you anything important about that? Moving on, we've got a few fun things to just dive into really quickly. Right, so yeah, the few things you've seen before are, the first things you've seen were just really playing around with the image API and seeing what we can do to slice up images. And then the following items with the gallery views really was a combination of the image API and the presentation API running in one of the many viewers that are out there for all this stuff. But actually, I find the image API to be one of the compelling things about all of these frameworks. For just really, it really opens up how you can work with material creatively across institutions. So I was riffing on the notion of the game of an exquisite corpse and just wondering, how could we sort of play this game automatically and put it together with minimal effort? So again, just looking through our collection on portraits, I stumbled upon these mummy portraits, paintings on wood or something like that. I don't remember exactly. And wrote some code to just run through and use the IIIF API to just be like, give me the top third of one random image from our collection, give me the middle third of an image from another object in our collection, give us the bottom third, and just stack them in a web page, and there you go. Just completely slicing and dicing the collection like we haven't really been able to without some heavy lifting through image processing libraries and all that nonsense that I am really lazy about and don't want to have to deal with. Again, thank you, IIIF, for taking that out of my hands. You could sort of step back from there and take it even further and really conceive of games where people with mobile devices join a web page or something like that and are given a chunk of an image. Again, IIIF image API, give me the upper left corner of the Van Gogh portrait and put it on someone's screen. Hey, player number 2, you get the upper right-hand coordinate. Hey, player number 3, you get the lower right-hand coordinate. Hey, player 4, you get the bottom left. And who knows where these people are? Maybe they're scattered throughout the museum and now they have a puzzle. Go find each other and finish the painting. Dumb, but fun. Icebreaker. I wish I had actually had it working now because I'd make you all play it right now. I don't, but the skeleton for the code is out there. And please, somebody clone the repository and finish it. I know there are plenty of you in this room capable of doing that. If you want to have a really quick random sampling of portraits, you can go to the URLs again that are in the presentation. And so this is all automated, machine automated. So I'm getting some very weird results here. You know, the head of George Washington. I don't think that's Ben Franklin, but you know, it's super entertaining as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't need to be and then you get weird things like that because in theory it's randomized. We still get, you know, the top 2/3 of a painting and the bottom third of another. That actually works out quite well. Surprise. And because I have a few more minutes, I'm just gonna click for a while because why not? Yeah, there you go. Wow, I'm actually surprised. This is way better than when I was testing it before doing this presentation. Load it up on your mobile phone. Take some screenshots. Post them. I'd love to see what you get. And oddly enough, it's giving me the same things over. Well, it's getting stuck in a little rut here. Let's see. Let's see. How patient are we? Not that patient. Okay. And then I'm going to jump over to another variation on this theme where what I'm getting here is a random slice of a random painting. I can't remember what other filters I have in there, sent to my browser. If any of you open this same web page on your browser, you're actually going to get the same set of images, but you're going to get a different random slice of those images. And that's all because this web page knows enough, the app knows enough to send the web page information about an image, and the web page on your browser knows enough about the image to grab a random slice from that image. And that's all because of IIIF Image API has core metadata that allows us to interrogate images in that way and then just manipulate them almost freeform right within our browser, for that matter. So, you know, just the fact that you can manipulate a URL and pluck out little slices and little chunks here and there, I find to be quite liberating. And it'll go on and on and on and on. Okay. What I truly find exciting, though, is that the notion that if I weren't, again, a lazy person, this would actually incorporate other IIIF collections. Right now, it's purely the Harvard Art Museum's collection. But you can think about what's really interesting to think about is that two different people are using the same app, but having similar but different experiences. And if you sort of multiply that by other institutions being folded into this game, sort of what combinations can evolve from there, and sort of where can you take this take it from there. Okay. And as much as I would like to let that run indefinitely, I'm not going to. We're going to look at a portrait one more time and see if it comes up. Wow. And it's going to refuse. So we're going to give up. And I have just a few parting thoughts. One which is... is this actually a proper use of IIIF? I don't really know if it is. But it actually doesn't really matter to me, because what I've learned is that IIIF enables me to rapidly prototype and experiment in a ton of new ways that really would have taken a bit more heavy lifting to do in code. And it really has given us a different way of looking at our collections and playing around with them, not strictly for the uses that are typically entrenched in the museum or from the curatorial aspect of a museum. We can really think creatively about slicing and dicing our images. And the fact that IIIF sweeps away the complexity of working with images allows us to get on to doing these useful, interesting, fun, and creative things with not only our institution's materials, but any compatible institution, IIIF compatible institution out there. And my last parting thoughts are, thanks for listening. Here's a bunch of links to the source code for all the demos and the running apps themselves and the data, which everything in that API is IIIF compatible at this point in time. And my parting thoughts for you on IIIF and with respect to all this stuff is in my experiences, I'm going to distill down to just simply saying that IIIF is a really awesome, non-destructive pair of scissors. Thank you.